Good afternoon, guys. We're going to be doing another part of the Gerald Shea Memorandum today. It's the final part 12, which is the final summary of the report. But that doesn't mean the series is done. There's a lot more to go. And these are just basically the 12 bullet points of the Gerald Shea memo. The other information I'll be sharing in future videos is basically about how the operation worked uh, intimately. How each city and who the perpetrators were. And I think these are going to be the key videos coming up soon. But without further ado, let's get right to the final summary, detailed summary. Set forth below is a detailed summary of the tentative conclusions reached in this memorandum, which amply illustrate the urgent need for a public inquiry into the activities of the Israeli DA groups and the Israeli New Jersey group. The inquiry must include, without limitation, the examination of members of the Israeli groups and related persons, officials of the Israeli government and certain of its agencies, including Mossad, FBI suspects, agents of the DA, the INS, and the FBI, certain local law enforcement officials, agents of the CIA in camera to the extent required, other intelligence sources cited by the public press to the extent possible. The boxes of documents and computer hard drives referenced on page 29, seized by the FBI from the Israeli New Jersey group. Talking about urban moving systems. I believe it was about 22 hard drives, maybe a little bit more. And I think John Masseria is the only person to file a Freedom of Information request regarding what was on those hard drives, and he was denied. And of all relevant documents, reports, communiques, and information, this is tremendously huge here. Because for far too long, certain members of the 9/11 Truth Movement have propagated disinformation regarding who constituted the Israeli art student ring. It wasn't the people in the towers. It was here, right here in this report. The only public report that has the names of people involved and their operational capabilities. And we need to really have cooler heads prevail, because this is such a taboo subject as it is. And it's been long maligned by fringe conspiracy theorists who just happen to be evangelical Christians as well. This is where most of the ridiculous theories come from. Not picking on Christians here, but you'll see a strong correlation between the two. We don't need the people like Christopher Bolin to represent us. We need rational people, because Bolin may be talking about certain issues relating to what is happening geopolitically regarding Israel, but he mixes in disinformation and misinformation, even outright lies. And I think what he does basically is just wants to maliciously malign reputable researchers who are looking into the Israeli angle in the hopes of having them publicly slammed and called anti-Semitic. The Israeli DA groups were spying on the Drug Enforcement Agency and thus upon the United States. The DEA itself has concluded that they were probably engaged in organized intelligence gathering on our soil. They were. 2, a highly regarded American journal knowledgeable about Israeli affairs has concluded, based on its own sources, that the Israeli DEA groups were spying on radical Islamic networks suspected of links to Middle East terrorism, and based on the representations of a former American intelligence official regularly briefed on these matters by law enforcement officials, that at least 2 members of the Israeli New Jersey group were Mossad operatives. Who were they? Urban Moving, the company used by the Israeli New Jersey group, was a front for Mossad and its operatives, and the Israeli New Jersey group was spying on local Arabs. The 2 suspected of being Mossad operatives are the brothers, Paul and Sivan Kurzberg. Sivan Kurzberg being the person driving the van that was pulled over in New Jersey on September 11, 2001, at the New Jersey Turnpike by Officer Scott DiCarlo and Dennis Rivielli. 3. The intelligence sources of a substantial American television network report that the Israeli DA groups may have gathered information about the September 11 attacks in advance and not shared it with the United States. One investigator said that evidence linking the Israeli DA groups to such intelligence gathering were classified and could not be disclosed. Classified by the United States. So it's not just the Saudis, which are much more public. Here, it's much more covert, much more hidden, much more protected. Because if, say, for example, push came to shove, the Saudis are getting front first, right under the bus. Which is why I think we need happen. Because once we pressure the Saudis and we can crack them, we can get to the Israelis. Because the Saudis, and I'm going to speculate here, if they had advanced knowledge, I'm talking about the intelligence services and maybe the government, if they had advanced knowledge about these attacks, which I think they do, just like I think the CIA did, the NSA did, and the Israeli Mossad did. Maybe differing specifics, but I think they knew the date and the method, at least. If the Saudis knew, then that means they most likely knew about the Israelis. Maybe. But that's the opportunity we need, because we don't have an opportunity right now. Nobody's talking about this. That's why I'm bringing it to the forefront. This needs to be talked about responsibly, in a responsible manner. 4, the Israeli DA groups were comprised of 125 or more Israelis operating on our soil. It was well over 200, by the way. Their leaders and apparent associates included military commanders and experts with military backgrounds in intelligence, electronic intercepts, and telecommunications. This is, I can't emphasize enough how tremendously huge this is, because these are not just off the wall like operatives that could be held liable. We're talking about members of the military. Now, in the future videos, we're going to be talking about these people specifically. This is what makes this report so invaluable. How anyone could miss this report. I cannot believe the Truth Movement did not know about this report or brought it to the forefront. I'm astonished. People like Rebecca Roth, Christopher Bowen, they talked about the Israeli art student ring being those people, whose photographs are being taken, planting bombs. That's make-believe land. You think those people want to be, photographed planting bombs to World Trade Center? It doesn't work like that. Because they want to make, they think you're the idiot. Oh, they'll believe anything. Here we have a much more covert operation. This is how it works. They don't want to be known. But the United States protects them. But we have arrest reports. Thanks to Gerald Shea, we have a document that gathers all this intelligence. Now, military backgrounds in intelligence, electronic intercepts, and telecommunications, signals intelligence, signals, emails, phone calls, text messages. Well, in this regard, it's listening devices. That's why they went to the DA, because drugs pay for black operations like this one. They can't go to Congress or the Knesset and ask for money for an illegal operation. This is an illegal operation. So they have to, how are they going to get the money? Illegally, through black operations, drugs, just like the CIA does. Hidden devices in art. Why are they using art? Hidden sound devices, listening devices. What are the DA talking about? What is the FBI talking about? What is the federal government talking about? Why do you think Israelis' intelligence are exemplary in areas of espionage, in areas of signals intelligence, telecommunications, and electronic intercepts? They're not fighters. They'll get dummies like us to fight for them. It requires intelligence. It requires deceit, the dark heart of humanity. Because, and I'll speculate here with conviction, by the way. If we want to know who the specifics are regarding 9/11, this is it. There are 4 intelligence services that I think, it's not irrational or irresponsible of me to say this, that had specifics relating to 9/11 about the who, the what, the when, the where, the why, and the how. The NSA, CIA, and specifically Saudi and Israeli intelligence, because they were living with and amongst these people in the years 2000, 2001. This is enormous. The wiretapping and intelligence expertise of members of both Israeli groups, and the use of vans in local neighborhoods where the future hijackers were planning the attacks, and the extensive use by the hijackers of cell phones and landlines made the Israeli groups ideally suited to gather information regarding the hijackers' plans. Exactly. Now, if they're driving around in vans, moving vans, or trucks, or Israelis are moving around in trucks, because with the Israeli groups, the Archduke Ring, they would have 4 to 5 people, or 3 to 4 people. I'm sorry. We have 1 woman and 3 men. It's a great selling point. I have this nice looking girl. Israeli women are beautiful. So they would have these really young women and these 3 guys, and they were all young too, by the way, ages between 18 to like 30. Okay. Except for the ringleaders. They were a little bit older because they're in Israeli military and Israeli intelligence, but they're not going with them. So they have these young people go to these houses, personal homes of the DA, FBI, right? And they'll go and they try to sell this art. They'll even go to their places of business. That's how a lot of these people got arrested. I don't know if they were counting on that. I don't know if they were counting on having a mass arrest of these people. But if they were counting on it later. And if the deed's done, 9/11 happens, well, mission success. Who cares if they got arrested? And I doubt that one cell in Dallas knew about the cell in Florida. I think this is compartmentalized as well. I think that this was a huge operation involving 200 people. And basically, the leads of these cells basically only knew about this specific operation so not to blow everybody else's cover. That's how compartmentalization works. So if you have vans and trucks moving these people around, you can have 1 or 2 people in the van listening to what's going on in the house. What are they saying? What information do they have? Do they know about us? Let's just speculate, because I don't know, right? If they have a listening device inside the art, this painting, right? Painting. And it's hidden in the device. Where does the art go? Like I said in the other video, the art goes like somewhere in either the living room, the front room, the bedroom. Okay. Where intimate details about somebody's life or somebody's work could be talked about. Or if somebody's on the phone. They feel safe about talking about how their work went, or somebody at work. Or talking to their loved one about work, the details thereof. What better way of getting information like that? And especially if the paintings are in the Office of Employment, right? It's a great idea. This was an ingenious plan. 6, the principal operation of the Israeli DA groups were located in and around Hollywood, Florida, where members of the Hamburg cell lived. Ziad Jarrah, Mohammed al-Shea, and Mohammed Atta, the alleged hijacker pilots of Flight 11, 175, and 77, and 93. 77, their occupants were in California, where the Saudis were. Israelis were there too. The central training and staging ground for the hijacking of the North and South Tower planes and the Pennsylvania plane. Like I said, the addresses and places of residence of the members of the Israeli DA groups and Hollywood itself were within hundreds of yards. Those are the future hijackers. How would they know where these people were living? If you are working in intelligence. Well, the job of intelligence is to collect information by any means possible, legally, illegally. Just get the information, right? Now, if they're running an illegal operation, the Israelis, well, what does it matter if they collect information illegally? The whole point. This is a black operation, illegal operation. Okay. Somehow they knew about where these people were living in Hollywood, Florida, to live right near them, which is going to be shown in the maps in the Gerald Shea Memorandum in future videos, and which I posted on the internet and my Twitter account and my WordPress as well, and which they lived right near these people, including one of the dancing Israelis. I think it's Omer Mamre, because when he got detained, he had a Hollywood, Florida license, right? It's not a coincidence. Now, either we could speculate and say the NSA, hearing the phone calls of certain people in Al-Qaeda in Yemen, or bin Laden's satellite phones, got wind of these people involved with the attacks, and knew they were coming to the United States. CIA takes over, asks the Saudis to come help them with this operation, monitoring these people. What are they up to? Because they may not know the specifics. If they want to know, that's how you can manipulate the operation. If you know what the other person is doing before they do it, well, you can, if you want to, and I'm going to be bold in saying this, you can manipulate the operation to where it's absolutely successful in order to benefit afterwards. Isn't that what 9/11 is about? They took advantage. And we don't know whether they had specifics or not. We can, all right, that's an option. But I think they knew. And I think the people who knew specifically, details, intimate knowledge of this operation, they're not in the United States. They would be abroad. They don't want to be in front of a camera. They don't want to be known who they are. That would be the Israelis and Saudis. Maybe the NSA, CIA, maybe. But they may not even know. They may know an attack is coming, but they probably don't know the date, maybe. It's the only thing that's missing here. 7, the operations of both the Israeli New Jersey group and the hijackers of the Pentagon plane were centered in Hudson and Bergen counties in New Jersey within a common radius of about 6 miles. Well, what was stationed in New Jersey near Hudson and Bergen counties? Well, Weehawken, right? Urban Moving Systems, a company that was some ragtag company owned by an Israeli, Dominic Suter, in which in the year 2000 put out flyers for Israeli students coming to the United States to help move these companies. Now, remember, I told you I used to work for like a ragtag moving company in Las Vegas when I lived there. I know how it operates. You know, these people get paid under the table. They move like 2 or 3 hour moves. And if you didn't pay, because they usually pay poor people, they usually move poor people. And usually these companies, they'll go over the 2-hour contract and say it's not their fault. You have more furniture than was advertised by us. And if you didn't pay the half hour or the hour extra, they held your moving furniture. They held your possessions. It's against the law, by the way. Nevertheless, these people either paid or they lost their furniture, right? Because it was held in this in the warehouse. Well, that's how Urban Moving Systems operated. In fact, in the 2020 episode, which is hard to find, but you can find it on Truth or TV's channel, where John Miller of ABC News reported on these Urban Moving Systems, went inside the warehouse. And what was inside the warehouse? All the furniture. Because near the end of 2001, a lot of these people weren't getting their furniture because these guys were basically operating covertly, monitoring members of the Hamburg cell. And you don't need 20 computers for a small company. They're a small company. The hell they have 20 computers for? What's on those hard drives? 8. All 5 celebrating members of the Israeli New Jersey group arrested on September 11th were aware when the North Tower plane struck the World Trade Center based on the immediate reaction to the attack and the information said to be contained in their van that the attack had been planned and carried out by Arab terrorists. Because remember, when they were detained at the New Jersey Turnpike on September 11th in the afternoon, on the map were highlighted areas of the World Trade Center, Doric Towers, and Borough Park, I think was the other truck that was found. Liberty Park. How would they know that? Right. Right. Now, of course, there are 2 interviews, I think, in the redacted FBI report regarding 2 unnamed, their names are redacted to protect their identity. 2 residents of Doric Towers that said they saw a white box truck. They didn't see urban moving system because either they didn't see it on the angle or whatnot, but nevertheless, they saw a white box truck at 8 a.m. Whether it's an urban moving system van, I don't know. It doesn't say. It didn't say that. It just said a white box truck that looks just like urban moving systems box truck. Foreknowledge? Hey, look, we're already implying that they did because why else are they following these people around? To collect information, intelligence, right? Foreknowledge about the event to make sure the event happens because it benefits who? Who? Who did it benefit? What did the 9/11 attacks benefit? Did it benefit us, the people? No. Who did it benefit? Don't be prejudiced. Don't be biased. Use your head. Be an investigator. Don't be like Christopher Bowen and Rebecca Roth to these people. Okay? Look at this carefully, responsibly. Because if we're not, we're never going to have a chance. We're never going to have a chance to hold these people accountable. Don't you think it's high time? Point 9. After being questioned by the FBI on September 11th, the leader of the Israeli New Jersey group immediately fled the United States to Israel. That's Dominic Suter. His name and alias appear, along with those of the hijackers and other FBI suspects on the May 2002 FBI suspect list, right next to Osama bin Laden. The FBI contacted Suter initially, called him in for an interview. Second time is when they pulled over Roy Barak and Modi Butbul in Pennsylvania, where they said they were moving somebody from Ohio. Meanwhile, the truck is empty. When they asked Suter about this, Suter said he had no idea. No idea. By the way, the freeway that we're using is right near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. That's a whole nother speculative notion I've talked about before. We're not going to get into that now. Point 10. Israeli intelligence officials have reported that 2 senior officials of Mossad warned the United States in August 2001 that as many as 200 terrorists on American soil were planning an imminent large-scale attack on high-visibility targets on the American mainland. One press report states that in August, Mossad provided the CIA with the names of future hijackers Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. So what? Because in August 2001, what happened? The CIA provided the principals at the National Security Council meetings the names of Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. So Israelis didn't give us anything new. They only gave us information that the CIA gave us. All right. They also gave us the names of the people involved. Now, how would they know that? How would they know that? How do they know about Ziad Jarrah or Abdulaziz al-Amari or Fayez Bani Hamad or Ahmed al-Ghamdi or Saddam al? How do they know these people? Who are these people? Remember what they said, 200 terrorists on American soil. How many people were arrested involved? Over 200. Use the this is it, folks, right? All right, so come on. So the Israeli Mossad are trying to cover their ass here. That's what I take from it. They're not warning us. Are they warning us about the who, the what, the when, the where, the why? How? Are they warning us about planes? Are they warning us about which plane flight? I mean, we don't know if they do know that. I'm just speculating here. But if I'm right, if my opinion's right, what I think is right, they do have that knowledge. Because why are they following these people to begin with? To collect intelligence. Do you think Omar al-Rahman, Muhammad Atta or Khalid al-Mihdhar or keep it secret. Now, according to people in San Diego, where Nawaf al-Hazmi worked at this gas station, Sam's Star Mart, okay? Khalid al-Mihdhar, who worked there sometimes, right, before he traveled to Yemen and came back, told people there, I'm sorry, after he came back, told people at Sam's Star Mart about an attack coming in the United States. The FBI interviewed these people. Sam Mustafa, who is a radical fundamentalist, owned the gas station. And you can read Bill Warner's investigations or Florida Bulldog. They talked about this. They're the best in the country. Okay. These people didn't keep quiet. They talked about this operation out loud. We don't know what the Hamburg cell members said, and the muscle hijackers may have not known about specifics, and they don't need to. But the pilot hijackers, they know about specifics. They're the key here. 11. The CIA's explanation of how Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi names were placed on the watch list through the spontaneous efforts of CIA and FBI agents is not only difficult to follow, but as the sole reason for the watch listing, hardly credible. That's right. Here's the problem. The CIA knew that Nawaf al-Hazmi and Khalid al-Mihdhar were al-Qaeda operatives. In the year 1999, Saudi intelligence warned the CIA about Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi through that they were from Saudi Arabia and that they traveled to Saudi Arabia. And I think there was weapons, had something to do with weapons. Either they were funneling weapons or something like that. But needless to say, CIA knew about them and knew about them being in Bosnia with the war against the communists in the Balkans. Okay. And that's early 90s. Okay. So they had a detailed report of these two guys. They knew they were al-Qaeda. These were the most senior al-Qaeda members of 9/11. Originally, if we're to believe Ramzi bin al-Shibh and Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, they were selected to be the pilots of Flight 77. But since they had very little English, to none, they were supposed to take English classes in the United States, but they never went. So they were replaced with Hani Hanjour later. Now, CIA, like I said, CIA knew that these guys were al-Qaeda, at least in 99. Why weren't they watch listed? Why did they keep from the FBI that they were coming to the United States and having U.S. visas? They took their photographs. They took the photographs of their passports when they were away from their hotel room, if we're to believe that story. Right? They knew they were at a high-level summit meeting in Malaysia. They knew about it because the NSA told them. The NSA was listening to the phone calls in Yemen. There's a high-level summit meeting between the mastermind of the Cole bombing, alleged mastermind, right, Tawfiq bin Atash Khalad, talked to a Khalid in Yemen. Well, Khalid al-Mihdhar lived at this house because he married to the daughter of the owner of the house. Okay. They heard about the name Nawaf. They heard the name Salim. Nawaf al-Hazmi and his brother Salim al-Hazmi to go to a meeting in Malaysia. The NSA told the CIA this. And the CIA already had a contact with the NSA, tell them about the operation. So they were involved. The Saudis in the United States knew about these two brothers coming to the United States. Now, later on through the Operation Encore files, which I mentioned in my videos, an FBI source told them that they knew they were coming before they even went to the freaking meeting. Because somebody in Malaysia was talking to somebody at the King Fahd Mosque in Los Angeles, headed by Fahad al-Tamari, an alleged Saudi operative, who was placed there by the religious minister of affairs in Washington, D.C., Muwassid al-Jarrah, who's the central figure in Operation Encore. So you have the Saudis knowing about two Al Qaeda operatives coming to the United States. The CIA knew them, and the FBI had no idea because the FBI at Alex Station, who received the cable, tried to warn headquarters, but they had to get permission from the CIA. The CIA said, no, you can't tell them, or else we'll arrest you for sharing classified information. 12. Mossad's own information appears to have come from its sources inside the United States. All of the facts and circumstances set forth in this memorandum appear to show that Mossad's two likely sources of information were, one, the Israeli DA groups, comparable in number to that of the Arab suspects, and who appeared to have tracked the future hijackers in their central places of operation and in other states. And two, the Israeli New Jersey group, operating through their Mossad front and another principal focus of operations of the future hijackers, two of whom were Mossad agents, Paul and Sivan Kurzberg, and five of whom appeared immediately aware of the origin of the attacks on September 11th. Because what could you take away from all this? There's only one real conclusion, that they were here to track members of the planes operation 9/11, and that they were here to collect information about this operation before it took place in order to ensure that these people were protected, that they were shielded from local and federal law enforcement to keep them in the dark, and to make sure that the State Department never knew what was going on, and to make sure that the information was kept from all forces of intelligence, whether it's from the NSA, CIA, whether they were in conjunction with them or operating separately. That's why this was such a huge operation. It's the biggest foreign intelligence ring on U.S. soil in history. It wasn't Russia. It wasn't China. It wasn't North Korea. It wasn't Iran. It's Israel, an alleged ally of the United States. And heaven forbid, if the United States ever found out that the Israelis knew about 9/11 or facilitated it to make sure it happens, what do you think is going to happen? Now, I'm going to wildly speculate here. This is the reason why Israel has so many nuclear weapons. The Samson Option, it's called. The book that was written by, I forgot his name. Forgive me. Where it talks about if the United States were to ever finally do away with Israel, and the Arab countries, which were so victimized and manipulated by Israel through the coalition of the United States and their partners, that they would get their revenge. They'll get their pound of flesh. And if Israel can't have a homeland, we can't have a world. They'll just commit the ultimate act of martyrdom, kill everybody on the earth. It's not meant for their own defense. That's why they have so many of these weapons. Small country, what do they need over, it's estimated, according to Mordecai Vanunu, over 150, which would make them probably, I think, third outside the United States and Russia. Probably Great Britain. They would have the most. Why? If the United States and Great Britain are acting as the big brothers, the biggest militaries on the earth, protecting Israel, why wouldn't Israel need all those nuclear weapons? It's not for the Arab countries. They don't have nuclear weapons. It's for us. Not anti-Semitic to say so. Who's it for? Why do they need so many? It's to destroy the whole fucking world. Sorry to curse, but that's what this is about. Because one day, if that ever comes, that they were behind, intelligence that could have stopped 9/11 or the 9/3 bombing or the assassination of JFK, or, if they had intelligence. I'm not saying they were behind us, right? Because there's no evidence to suggest that. But if they had intelligence that could have prevented all this and so much more, that's the end of them. No matter how many congressmen they buy or persuade, because people are getting fed up. 13. This is the final point. While little direct evidence supports the contention that the CIA was aware of or condoned the Israeli tracking of Arab terrorist groups in the United States prior to September 11th, the CIA is pressing for the expulsion of members of the Israeli DA groups when they were detained before September 11th, their failure to cooperate with the FBI, their circuitous explanation of how the above two hijackers were placed on a watch list, and other relevant considerations required that the issue be taken up as part of the public inquiry into these painful events. Damn right. If speculation, if we're to speculate that the Israelis, the CIAs, and the Saudis were working together, that doesn't ensure that the Saudis and the Israelis, or even the CIA, all shared relevant information about the plane's operation. Intelligence is a very shady business, deceitful. You have honest people, even at the CIA, you do, but not at this level. I'm not saying the CIA or the Israelis or the Saudis has intimate knowledge of the plane's operation. I'm not saying that here. I'm saying be careful. If you're going to use speculation, use it wisely. Because the truth movement didn't do that. And it hurt us all. That's why I'm doing these videos, in the hopes that I could capture the right audience. And in the future, we can build a new movement of responsible researchers where we could hold people accountable. Because this document, which I'm going to make future videos, names the people involved in this operation. It's going to be some of the biggest videos I ever made. And you don't need to wait on me. You can read the document yourself. I need more voices. I'm not important enough or popular enough. We need more people involved to talk about this issue responsibly, carefully. If the CIA, if the Israelis were operating outside the CIA and the Saudis, and the CIA knew about this and said, look, if you could share information with us, we'd be grateful, and the Israelis didn't, that's another problem. And the CIA would like to get the Israelis out of the country, which is the reason why they did that. They pressured the INS to expose these people. The Saudis and Israelis, the first crime they committed wasn't that they were running an illegal operation, was that they overstayed their visas. And the punishment is to have them deported back to their home countries, where they're never coming back. It's the whole idea of having people here on student visas or work visas, temp visas. They weren't going to stay here long. And these are the people that would have intimate knowledge, details about the plane's operation, because you can't afford to have somebody in the United States know about this in the public sphere for fear he might talk. That's why I think very, very little people had intimate knowledge. We're talking about the intelligence services. Bush wouldn't know, Rumsfeld. These people are public figures. They may know about a plane being hijacked, but they wouldn't know which plane. I mean, we already know about the August 6th PDB, where bin Laden was determined to strike inside the United States. So they knew that much. Bin Laden's going to strike inside the United States, but they don't know the details. They don't need to know. They just need to know about an attack upcoming. But these people would know. It's high time we bring this to the public forefront. All right, everybody. That's the part 12 of this Gerald Shea Memorandum, but we still got more parts to go, more series. That doesn't mean this is ending here. I will do more future Gerald Shea Memorandums videos, and see you in the next video. Have a good afternoon, everybody.